So I'm headed to install my new coilovers. If you missed my announcement and the unboxing on that, I did receive a new sponsor. It's Flatout Suspension. I am super excited to work with them and welcome them to the team. And I have some super badass coilovers to install for my Subaru. So let's go install those. Okay, so thankfully I don't have to do this street side downtown. And this person, Night Garage Alan, is letting me use a lift at his shop. So make sure if you're in Sacramento and need like alignments or anything done, check out Night Garage.
Zap zap. Let's remove that wheel. And this brake line clip. Loosen the 3 top hat nuts. Struggle to break the struts bolts loose. Ask for help but continue to struggle. That's a nice jack handle. Would be a shame to use it for leverage. Place jack under rotor. Pull the knuckle forward. Awkwardly climb in car and remove old coilover. Attempt to install new coilover. Struggle for a while. Secure the top hat nuts. Struggle some more to get both struts bolts in place.
It's dragging. Whew.
Adjust external reservoir accordingly. Repeat on other 3.
Progress. Good morning, guys. This is like attempt 3 of trying to film this install video. I have well, my GoPro died during the install, but I am today going to talk about some of the issues I ran into. Sort of had to do with the ride height I wanted to run, my wheel specs, and just the wagons not having a lot of clearance in the back. So yeah, I'm going to walk you through the issues I ran into and the solutions for that. And I'm gonna raise the front of my car. So yeah, once I get the car in this driveway, I'll walk you through what happened and we will go from there. I'm gonna try and explain the issues I ran into without taking my wheel off. It's probably really hot still because I just drove. But basically, and this happened with my old setup as well, when I went to lower the car to the ride height that I want, the inside of my wheel sits right against the locking collar. So right now I can get my fingers through because the solution that we had to come up with the day of was to just raise my car, but I am running a 5mm spacer already. So that worked with the old setup. I was able to lower it how I wanted, run the spacer, and have, you know, about a finger of clearance. And these ones, when I adjusted it to the correct height, it was still rubbing and the spacer did not help. So we ended up having to raise the car. So car sits higher in the rear, and my options are, it was the day of, so I needed it the day after. Had I better prepared, I probably would have had less issues, but I had a day to do this and I needed to daily drive my car the day after. But basically the solutions are that you can run the ride height you want with the helper springs and use extended studs in a bigger spacer and then drop the car down. The other solution is to raise the car, and the last solution, which I'm going to end up doing once I have time and resources, is to remove the helper springs, and Russell with Flatout is going to send me 6-inch springs and 7-inch springs, and I should be able to run those and lower the car to desired ride height. But today we're going to raise the front to match. So Cody's in my vlog. Hello, I'm using his driveway. Alright guys, so I'm back at home. Lasted in that driveway for all of like 10 minutes. I understand roommates don't always want people wrenching there, so totally understandable, no hard feelings. But yeah, gonna just go ahead and explain a little further the solutions. So I showed you guys that basically the ride height I wanted to run, my wheels would sit against the locking collars or the springs. So the solutions are you can run the ride height you want with extended studs, which I didn't have the day that I installed them. I have them now, and now I'm being told that these need some modifications to work. So that's one option, is to run the ride height you want with extended studs and run a bigger spacer. So I think like a 10mm spacer. I have a 5 on it right now, which I don't really recommend with the stock studs. I think only 3mm is safe to run, so don't really follow my steps with that. But yeah, so extended studs are an option with a bigger spacer, and then you could probably run whatever ride height you want. And then the other option is the shorter springs and removing the helper springs, which I want to do down the road. I just don't have, as we obviously are figuring out, I don't have a driveway consistently to wrench in. So yeah, the solution I'm going to do, and I'll film it when I find a day to actually do it, is raise the front. I have pretty much no fitment issues in the front. Coilovers, I was able to set them to the old ride height and just install them, and I mean, it is tight, but they don't actually rub. So I want to eventually install these, but I'm kind of going to wait for like an excuse, like maybe if a wheel bearing goes or something, because I don't want to have to get into that. And I know the rear, there's some like ABS sensor that's going to be a pain in my butt. So that's an option for you. And the spacers, shorter springs in the rear, or just raising the car up and not running, you know, extremely low ride height that I want to run. So now that I've explained all of that, the coilovers, I do drive on them obviously every day because it's my daily driver, but they feel amazing. I've been super happy with them, and I work at the racetrack, so when I drive out to my little corner, I get to drive on track, and they feel really, really, really good. And I'm super excited to actually get out to a track and drive like full speed on them. So stay tuned. If you know anybody in the East Bay that either has a consistent driveway or like a shop I can rent space in and stuff, bang my line. Otherwise, stay tuned for updates and more content coming soon. Since it may take me a while to get the suspension dialed in to the exact ride height that I want, I am playing with the idea of like doing a 2-part review, because I know a bunch of you have been in my DMs waiting for reviews on this, and I don't have to tell you except buy them. Like, they feel amazing, and I haven't even hit a track yet. But with that being said, I am going to do a track day review. I'm in a wedding this year, and it's kind of breaking my bank, but we're going to get track days in there eventually, but I don't know when. So yeah, I'm going to do like a 2-part review, and it's basically, one is going to be with the ride height when I lift the front up to match the current rear. It'll still be probably about an inch lower than OEM, but not quite as low as my old setup and where I ideally like my car. So yeah, those are the solutions and whatnot and the issues, and I will drop my wheel specs in the chat. I believe they're 18x8 plus 40. But yeah, it has a little bit less to do with my wheel specs and more to do with the lack of clearance in the rear. And I also wanted to mention, he might even be doing a video on it, because I know he's actually, I think, had more issues than I have. But I have a friend with an STI on the East Coast, also a Hawkeye, and he has Feel 442s and had a bunch of fitment issues as well, as far as getting it to work with the ride height that he wants. And we were like throwing numbers back and forth, and basically Wagons have a lot less inbound clearance than his STI, but he still had to modify his Feel suspension coilovers, especially like the little external reservoir and whatnot, and ride height. And so it's not like an issue just I'm having. And I also know my other friend, Bill, shout out, had to saw some stuff off in his wagon, and everybody's fenders are rolled and pulled. So it's not necessarily a Flatout suspension coilover issue. It is a Subaru GD chassis issue. So yeah, those are the solutions. I will link Chris's channel as well. He's one with the STI because I believe he said he's going to kind of tag team my video and release his own that has his solutions and his issues, because I actually think that he had more issues than I did. And thank God that I had him as a resource, because he pretty much spent my entire install messaging me being like, this is what you need to do, blah blah blah, and like really saved my butt that day because I needed the car to drive. And yeah, we ended up having to raise the rear up higher than the front just so I could daily it, and now it's been like a month. So yeah, that is me. I'm done rambling. If you're still watching, appreciate it. Stay tuned for content, and yeah, lots of stuff happening in my life that I will slowly be talking about. So